Hey folks, welcome back to the Mrrshan Pouncers strategy playthrough of Master of Orion 1 on Impossible. So I actually tried to record this already and realized that my mic was muted. So I had a bunch of footage, get unusable footage that I had to throw away. And this time I'm actually going to kind of do just a heavily abbreviated version of this because I don't want to go through all of it again. The main points are, first of all, the silicoids, according to my latest intelligence, have repulsor beams. So that is an issue with defending our new conquest of Boötis that we've just gotten air superiority over. If they send those repulsor beam ships, we're relying on neutron pellet gun fighters right now mostly, and they'll be able to do nothing against those repulsor beam ships. They've got repulsor beams, and also there's one model that they're using with like some heavy neutron blast cannons that have 2 space range. So we need to get missile bases. We need to capture it, get missile bases up ASAP, and get neutron blasters, which are in the pipeline but not very heavily invested with research yet. So that's the main issue that we've got going on right now um, is that. Now, one nice thing is when we do end up capturing Boötis, I'll go ahead and let you know, we get Mark IV battle computers, Mark IV battle computers, and classified planetary shields from the tech stealing. So that's pretty huge. That'll help our missile bases out tons. And I was plowing reserve spending into Boötis to get it self-sufficient and stood up in time to defend itself, so that the fleet can move on, so that we can attack Iranha, which is off to it's a smallish infernal world. I think size 30 Inferno world off to the, what would you call it, the southwest. That's going to be our next silicoid target to take over. We do make a few trades. We get Industrial Tech 9 from the Alkari. We get a non-aggression pact from the Klakons, who used to be our enemy, but they've forgiven us after Paranar, especially since we've been bombing the silicoids, who are their enemy. So that's another reason why this aggressive pouncer strategy pays off, because of diplomacy. We're going to chase off that silicoids colony ship. We don't want them colonizing over there, for sure. There's that repulsor beam ship that we've got to deal with. Thankfully, all their ships are moving at warp 1 still for the silicoids, so we can see their ships coming a mile away, and got plenty of time to adapt to that. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. Basically, I'm trying to bomb out Laie and Centauri while I wait for controlled toxic, which I need before I can invade Iranha here. And it'd be nice to bomb out those other 2 silicoid planets, because they're both controlled radiated. And I don't have controlled radiated or plan on getting it anytime soon. So, I'm just going to bomb it out and deny it to the silicoid, deny them the use of it, of those planets, especially since one of them is ultra rich, which they could use to just pump out tons of ships. So I'd like to just deny them. This was kind of a tricky battle because my fighters couldn't actually harm that ship, and had to kind of whittle it down with my missile bases. I was kind of dodging their missiles, and it was getting distracted by my fighters, trying to go after those rather than after the missile bases, which it absolutely could have damaged my missile bases, because this is in the nebula. So it's kind of lucky that the AI is kind of dumb, and you could consider that an exploit, I guess, but my ship was armed, so it's not as if it was just an armed scout ship. And theoretically it could have damaged the enemy ship, like if it was in a corner, then the repulsor beam wouldn't have worked. So keeping it in the battle to kind of distract the enemy ship, I think, is a legitimate tactic in that case. That definitely helped me win that. So At this point, I'm just fighting off a trickle of silicoid reinforcements that kind of come in 1 or 2 ships at a time. Not very difficult at all for my neutron pellet gun fighters to deal with that have very high evade, and they have not very good attack level on most of their ships. And of course, they're slow as molasses. So as long as I don't deal with that repulsor model, any of the planets that matter, that I don't have defenses, missile bases defending yet, then I'll be fine. Now I finally bomb out Centauri. Laie, the ultra-rich one's taking a little more time, but I'll get it too. They're trying to send reinforcements from Iranha, which those reinforcements are not going to get through. Hate to tell them. And in fact, all they're doing is depleting Iranhas to make it easier for me to capture it here. Once I get controlled toxic environment, I'll be ready to do that. So the Silkoids keep sending these ships like this one. You might think, wow, that's a large ship, and I've only got a couple dozen laser fighters. But no, see, they have horrible attack level. I think they have an attack level of 2, and my ships have an evade of 7, I want to say. So they're only going to hit 5% of the time. So that's why my relatively small number of laser or neutron pellet gun fighters is able to hold off these huge dreadnoughts that they're sending up at me. Skip ahead a little bit. Trying to bomb out this planet of Laie. It's taken a long time, I think, because it once had a classified planetary shield, which is reducing the orbital bombardment damage. My backline planets are getting built up during all this. They're under no threat at all, which is nice now that we've kind of pushed back the silicoid front line a little bit. So let me skip ahead a little bit. And they're going to retreat, yeah. I prevent the silicoids as long as possible from recolonizing these radiated planets. So I got controlled toxic is about to pop, so I go ahead and get the invasion ready by getting my bombers sent over and fighters for air superiority. Notice that everyone hates the silicoids, so this is great for diplomacy, bombing them all the time. Makes everyone happy with me, which is just what I want. There we go, controlled toxic just in time. Going on to soil enrichment next. So skipping ahead a little bit. Like I said, this is going to be a expedited playthrough summary that's just going to focus on the essentials. So part of controlled toxic, I could colonize that infernal world right next to Paranar and that nebula, but actually I'm going to let the silicoids colonize it for me and then just go take it over before they can even send any population reinforcements. That'll be an easy way of getting that planet. And otherwise, I've got one other planet that I need to build a colony ship for to settle. It's a toxic size 10 planet way out on the very northeastern part of my territory. I've got like 20 neutron pellet gun fighters guarding it from enemy colony ships while I wait on that. So, like I said, so this Pouncer strategy, how has it paid off so far this game? Just to recap real quick. So I took Paranar with it very early on the game, like around year 23, 22, I want to say. So instead of trying to build a colony ship, I just built a large laser cruiser, sent it over there, got air superiority, killed off about 30 enemy laser fighters, then sent population transports over. And actually got super lucky and captured 16 factories and got nuclear engines and Hyper-V rockets as a tech steal from that. So that was huge for the early game. Then I captured Boötis, with what I would call a stage 2 pouncing operation. Captured it with the factories intact, got Battle Computer Mark IV and classified planetary shields. Of course, I had to build some nuke bombers for that. But you'd be surprised how effective nuke bombers can be if they have 2 or 3 movement and decent evade, and decent attack level thanks to the Mrrshans. Even up against level 7 shielding, which is what the Silicoids had, with class 5 planetaries and class 2 deflector shields. But 200 nuke bombers can still deal with 10 missile bases in that sort of situation. So that's how I was able to take Bootis. We got control over Iranha, sending over transports, basically emptying Bootis just to make sure I can get that planet. I can always refill Bootis later. See, I'm starting to put some spending into computer tech to get improved robotic control 4. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Here we're gonna take over Rigel. Like I said, I let the Silicoids colonize it, so I didn't have to build a colony ship. And now we're just gonna take it over with the tiny little invasion. They only have 2 pop in the planet, so it's an easy way to get it. We're already at war with them anyways. So we meet the Bullrathi, who are actually very good relations with us since they're at war with the Silicoids. And I take advantage of this fact to sign them up for a huge huge econ trade deal, and also I sign an alliance with them, which in the long run might be problematic because alliances will bring you into their wars, which right now I don't think they're only at war with the Silicoids, but that could change. In fact, spoiler alert, it will change, and we'll end up getting roped into wars with the Alkari and the Klakons, which is not what I would have preferred, but I was kind of banking on the idea that in the long term, once I become nominated for the council vote, if I'm one of the, once I get second in population and overtake the Silicoids, if I at the very least have the Bullrathis as an ally, my votes plus theirs will probably be at least a veto block. That's what I was banking on. And you see I swung some really good trades there. I got Fusion Bomb from the Bullrathi, which is pretty huge. I also end up getting Duralloy armor from them. What else? Which is nice for ships and missile bases and ground combat. Let me think. What else did I get? I think I ended up getting Stinger missiles from them eventually, which after I get neutron blasters here, I start work on researching Merculites, because right now I just have Hyper-V missiles. So I knew I needed an upgrade. I went ahead and started on Merculite missiles. Little did I know Bullrathis would be willing to trade Stinger missiles later on. So Bullrathi really turned out to be an important ally in this game. And, I wasn't too sad about, having to go to war with all these other races to get that one firm ally that I could just pretty much share technology with and not have to worry about them attacking me on that kind of weak eastern flank of my empire. Since I have everything concentrated in the south against the Silicoids, it's good to have one flank pretty calm. I finally bomb Laie out. Yes. I go ahead and capture that little nebula planet of Rigel. And now here it comes. Bullrathis start roping me into their wars. First with the Alkari, which the main threat from the Alkari is if they send their big fleet of laser fighters, or what I suspected very strongly were laser fighters at this point. They sent that fleet against Paranar, which is in the nebula. See, they have almost 1,000 laser fighters. They could definitely overwhelm, my missile bases. They could definitely take out, and I couldn't even really build enough fighters to deal with that. So I'd be pretty sunk if they tried that. Now, the AI being what it is, it actually decided in a few turns to go try and attack Bootis. Now, it's not in a nebula, so it has plenty of planetary shielding. It can shrug off those ships. I think it thinks since Bootis has fewer missile bases than Paranar has 8, Bootis has 4, that they think that Bootis is a weaker target, but they're forgetting that Paranar is in a nebula, and only there can they really damage me. So, if the Alkari had wanted to, if they'd been intelligent, they could have bombed Paranar into smithereens. which wouldn't have been the end of the world. It would have definitely put a crimp in our ship production, but we would have adapted. It just would have slowed things down a little bit. So I get a personal deflector shield. That's another Bullwrathy technology we get. It's pretty nice. So a lot of good stuff from them. Try to think if there's anything else important. I think those are the main ones that I got from the Bullwrathy. And in a second, they're going to rope me into a war with the Clackons as well, which is not the worst thing in the world, assuming I don't face a council vote here anytime soon, because there should be a very easy target for taking their few remaining planets from, getting some good tech and population. So here I'm finally designing a ship with some heavy blast cannons that can deal with the silicoid if they show up with more of those repulsor beam models on that huge dreadnought. I can deal with that. And those things move at warp 1, so not too worried about it. And plus I've got missile bases up at Boötis and getting Arana built up too, so we're getting pretty safe here from any silicoid counterattack. At this point my attention is more shifting to the Alkari and the Clackons. I'm not sure if I want to attack the Alkari, probably just play defense against them right now, but I can definitely go attack the Clackons and take over Aqualay and eventually Koldan as well. And here's my new fusion bomber with missile defense of 7, very fast moving. This thing's going to shred any enemy AI it comes into contact with at this stage in the game. So getting that computer tech going, getting planetology going. I want to go ahead and show right up to, see, here's the Clackons. Now that I'm at war with them due to the Bullwrathy alliance, they're sending little fleets up at me, up at my flank that what used to be a calm front, my northeastern front that used to not really have any ships defending it or missile bases. Now I've got to actually kind of scramble a defense, but I'm not too worried because my ships are going to be really hard to hit for them. They'll probably have like laser fighters or like, neutron pellet gun fighters like I do, but mine are much faster and much better evade and attack level, so I should win this easily. I think they're sending about 50 of them up there. We're going to see here in a second. See, here's that battle. So their ships are kind of hard to hit too, but we have better attacks, so we're whittling them down. And yeah, so it wasn't too bad. And all this time, the silicoids are sending in this trickle of ships that really can't do anything against my nimble neutron pellet gun fighters. I'm also denying them the ability to, hopefully, denying them the ability to recolonize those radiated planets. So thankfully, I'm still not nominated yet for the council vote. The silicoids have barely a little bit more population than me, which is good because we're at war with a lot of people right now. So council vote would have been bad at this point for us to be nominated. Now, probably the next council vote in 2450, we're going to have to bet on being nominated because we'll have soil enrichment by then. We'll have colonized more planets. But I'm also hoping that, our population plus the Bullwrathy population, especially since I think I gave them soil enrichment, their population will be boosted from that. And our populations together will at least have a veto block. That's all we need to continue to gather momentum in the game and not just lose to final war. So as long as we have that, I think this game is looking pretty positive, and a lot of it is thanks to those early pouncings with, instead of building colony ships, letting the AI colonize for you, going and taking it with, at first, just laser cruisers are okay to use if they don't have missile bases up yet, or even nuke bombers are okay if they do have some initial missile bases up. That's how you do it in the early game. So having good strategic speed definitely helps with that. So I'm going to leave it off there. We'll resume next time. We're in year about 24, 25, and we'll look through the next 25 years or so in this next part that'll be coming up of the Mrrshan Pouncer Challenge on Master of Orion Impossible Difficulty. So see you then.